is along the way as well. So if, feel free to dip in and out. There's beers in the box down there, so feel free to help yourself. But I'm going to hand you over to Colin now, who is going to, probably talk about much more interesting things than I will. So, thanks so much, mate.
Cheers, Matt. As Matt rightly said, I'm just going to talk about some basic principles of training in this time of the year, planning your season, and also appreciating that there's quite a wide range of abilities here. And I know some people might be doing their first triathlon, some people might be trying to qualify for Kona. So I'm trying to keep it quite general, but I think everyone can have a couple of takeaways from what I'm going to say. And I'm going to make it relevant to this time of year. I appreciate training is a huge topic, so I'm trying to keep it quite specific to what we should be thinking about right now. And probably the first thing people are thinking about this time of year, if not in the next couple of months, is the kind of races that we want to do next year. Hope everyone's taken a good break from the last season, and they're starting to think forward about what races they want to target, what races they want to prioritise, whether that be on a time basis or a qualification basis, or whether it be your first triathlon. It's all very relevant. And I think what I just want to touch on is when you're picking races, why are you picking those races, and how does that actually suit you as an individual? I appreciate a lot of people are doing races perhaps at the championship level where they don't have a choice. But if you do have a choice to pick a race, what race should you choose? And I appreciate, again, that's difficult when you don't have a lot of experience, but picking races that suit you is sound advice, because this sport is hard enough as it is, especially the longer you go. So in terms of specifics, in terms of planning the season, if you look at if everyone looks at their own swim, for instance, what you like as a swimmer. If you have a long languid stroke with a slow cadence, would you perhaps be better placed in a lake or reservoir with not too much chop? If you have quite a water polo stroke, fast cadence, would you be better placed perhaps in the sea in choppy water? So thinking about what kind of swim that would suit you. Likewise on the bike, if you're a bigger guy, kind of 80 kilos plus, would you be better placed on more of a flat course? Equally, if you're very light, would you be better off in climbing, as long as you can descend as well? So that's how, thinking about that. And then onto the run, it's probably more of a heat factor on the run. How well do you cope with the heat? Everyone struggles in the heat, granted, but some people are more predisposed to it than others. So thinking about where you want to race, the amount of people that say to me, I've been training all winter and I'm going to do Mallorca, which is a very cliche race, and it was 38 degrees. Of course it is, it's Mallorca, But just thinking, okay, well, does that suit me? Is that something I can cope with? Is that something I'm going to flourish in? Is that something compared to my competitors I'm going to be good at? And these are factors you really need to think about if you're going to actually plan your season in a way that's going to suit you, if you're going to get judged on the results that you produce. Other than that, how do you pick races as well? How does it fit around your life? I don't know, you might be an accountant and the month end is at the end of March or January or whatever, so perhaps racing in those periods might not necessarily suit your working environment. Is it best perhaps to race where work's a little calmer, so you're more emotionally refreshed when you do race? People think about race preparation as being in the best physical shape. To be honest, it's more about your mental state when you're racing. Everyone can get to the start line in good shape, but when you want to race to the best of your potential, you have to be very calm within your mind. And if you're emotionally sound, no arguments with the girlfriend or boyfriend the night before, or you've had a really hectic week at work, that's going to have more of an effect on your performance than missing the odd watt bike session. So thinking about how to structure your training around your kind of emotional commitments is a good idea. Likewise, if you have 4 stag do's in July, maybe do your race in June, have a break in July. Just thinking about that. Myself. So, and another thing I've had questions about, time between races. If you're the sort of person that really fixates on one race, and you're going to think, okay, I'm going to do this one Ironman or one Olympic distance in June, and anything else doesn't really matter, then perhaps bunching up races, such as a race 2 weeks after, might be difficult for you because you've done that race and you're emotionally spent and you need a break. Other people think, okay, if I'm going to do a couple of races, I might as well get in the best possible shape and then knock out a couple of races in consecutive weeks or every other week or something like that. And even in the most extreme circumstances, you might do 2 70.3s in 2 weeks or 4 weeks and something like that if you want to peak for a certain part of the season. Training camps, some people have the luxury to go on training camps, some don't, which is absolutely fine, but it's picking, when is it good to go on a training camp? If you only had 1 week of the year to use for training, when is it good to go on that camp? Is it good, for instance, to go out to a race, 24 hours before race and then have a nice camp on the back of the race? Or is it better, for instance, to have a week training, then race? These are things to really think about when you're planning the season. And in terms of my opinion of that, if you did have 1 week, I'd typically probably do it after the race. Because what tends to happen, if you go out to a place a week before, you tend to overthink about the race, you change your routine, what you're eating, your body's changing, and you're not going to do much training anyway. So if it is there, if you are doing it for training, why not go the week after the race? Just go there just before. Other factors, race logistics. I've been casualty of this a few times, bringing girlfriend to races and things like that, not thinking things through. And I think a lot of people ruin their races in the 24 hours, 48 hours before the race actually starts. Whether that be, you're racing in Malaysia, you don't usually have a Malaysian curry the night before an Ironman, you do this time because you're in Malaysia, or whether it be, you've got to take 3 buses of train and your disc cracks in the car. So it's just thinking about how easy is this going to be for you, whether it be if you bring your family along or your kids along, how easy is the environment going to be? So when you turn up on that day, you're physically prepared, but you're also, again, mentally prepared because you're nice and chilled. If you're flustered in the day, the day before, and you're running around in the sun like Luca, then you're going to have an impact. You're going to have an impact on the race day. So it's important that you stay chilled, and especially the kind of 24, 48 hours before the race, you're in good shape.
Celebrations trip to Paris.
Yeah, done that a few times. Okay, so in terms of winter training, now obviously everyone's in a slightly different position here, so I'm going to keep it quite general. And I think, like I just